Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen, those who enjoy watching StarCraft. My name is Dr. Spurs, if you didn't already know, also known as Brandon Emerson, and I'm bringing you another replay this morning at, what time is it? It's like 1:19 a.m. on October 19th, 2011. So I gave you the precise date as to when I'm bringing you this replay, and it is going to be a replay submitted by OmonRa, our newest member, Matt, and DigitalSlap from the latter. He told me that this is a great demonstration of the Forge and its strength, so hopefully that didn't spoil the ending for me or you as we go through this replay. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, and if you weren't before, you will be now, Brandon, why are you casting at 1:15 in the morning? Shouldn't you be going to bed? And the answer is yes. My bedtime is about 9 o'clock on good days, but I decided that I wanted to cast some games today, and I decided this at like 2 p.m. I was like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to cast some games, and it's going to be a good time, and then I ended up playing a bunch of customs, and the time just flew by, and I was like, yeah, man, you know what, I never did get to cast those games. It is 1:15. Might as well commit to staying up even later. So that is what brings us here today. Not that it matters to you, because you are watching this on YouTube, but that is enough about the story of my life. We have similar gateways going down on both sides. The blue gateway, DigitalSlap, has been placed down earlier, but the gas is faster on the side of OmonRa. So very slight difference. Oh, I didn't even say the matchup. If you haven't gathered by now, maybe you're new and you've never seen StarCraft before, but it is a PvP as I go back and forth between these very, very similar bases, doing very, very similar things, except there's a Cybercore out of DigitalSlap and no Cybercore out of, oh, there it is. Similar bases doing similar things. It is a PvP on the map, the Shattered Temple. There's a singular watchtower in the middle that will control all of that ground in the middle, showing you exactly where your opponent is moving to and from on the ground. So very important that you control that watchtower in case you wanted to talk strategy. But the Cybercore is finishing now for DigitalSlap, so he will be starting warp gates sooner than OmonRa. We will see if that plays a huge role. He is chrono boosting out a Zealot as we speak. For reasons I am not sure, neither player has opted to scout. Oh, DigitalSlap himself also has a Zealot on the field. So both players continuing to mirror each other. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So maybe DigitalSlap and OmonRa have a little internet thing going on. They're kind of cute. Anyway, enough about his relationships, which I already know. OmonRa is in one. And it is not with DigitalSlap. That's enough gossip for that. There is no second geyser going down for OmonRa, and he is picking up, and by he I mean DigitalSlap, he is picking up his second geyser, indicating probably a heavier tech path. He does have the second gateway on the way. No second gateway on the way for OmonRa. So I'm thinking this DigitalSlap might be going some kind of 3-gate robo, or some other kind of techie play. We do have the standard, tried and true 4-gate coming out of OmonRa here. Every Protoss player probably does and or should know how to 4-gate. It is the most basic of basic builds. We do have one rally for the workers coming into this gas here. I really hope he doesn't forget to pull the rally off of the gas guys and end up with 50 guys on gas, but he was smart and thought ahead. Warp gates is just nearing completion here on both sides. Neither player showing any signs of aggression. Just kind of building up base forces. We do only have 2 gateways and no other sign of the tech that would have been indicative of this second gas. We do have 2 workers on their way to, I don't know, who knows where, probably scouting to see where OmonRa has spawned. But that is where we are at. Warp gates just now opening up on the blue side, but Warp gates is just now finishing for OmonRa, so he will be warping in units almost immediately as soon as that is finished. And yes, these 2 probes that are wandering around, they will be scouting that in fact OmonRa is in the opposite spawn position, and there's a 3rd gateway going down for our DigitalSlap Protoss player. So he's going 3-gate extra gas is my prediction. We do have a forge on the way for OmonRa. So a 4-gate forge. And here comes the scouting probe, probably about 4 minutes late, but that is okay, better late than never, as long as he gets any, if at all, scouting information. We do have, a pylon close to the cliff, which could mean Warpin's up on this high ground, which would be very devastating if DigitalSlap does in fact get this probe through for spotting, because there is no observer, and there's no robo facility and no observer on the way. We do have another proxy pylon here, but there will be one stalker here to hold down the fort. Really confused as to why DigitalSlap has this pylon. Maybe he didn't know that you can't warp in without vision on this high ground, because this is, I'm assuming, silver level play, because I know OmonRa is silver. And he is moving out to secure his expo here. And we have the push out from the opposing DigitalSlap player. He is very stalker heavy, only choosing to get one zealot. No sentries from him. We have 2 more gates going down. No sentries on either side, actually. Oh, nope, there's 2 here watching the ramp. So, no, these are stalkers. So DigitalSlap, he really likes him some stalkers. He's like creepily into stalkers. Like, I don't know, man. He probably needs to get that checked out. We do have one attack upgrade halfway done for OmonRa, so the longer this army sits here, the less advantage it will be, or less at a disadvantage, but it will be moving in here super stalker heavy, and it will begin to kite out these zealots, and by kite I mean not at all, so it will be just a complete standoff on both sides. Guardian shields going down for OmonRa. Some of these stalkers backed out, a little bit skittish about the fight, and these zealots have gone down on both sides, and DigitalSlap is focusing down the sentries, so a good move there, I think, I mean, he should have done it sooner so that the Guardian shields dropped sooner. And there was a reinforcement. Warpin out of DigitalSlap. Focus fire on both sides. And it looks like OmonRa will be able to hold this pretty easily. One last stalker going down for him. Let's take a look at the resources losses. Definitely in OmonRa's favor. The Protoss is like... He wasted twice as many resources in that attack, while OmonRa also got his expo down, so he is in a fantastic position despite the fact that there are 5 warp gates on the other end of this map. This proxy pylon still not doing anything. I wonder if OmonRa, he does not see either... I shouldn't say either. He doesn't see this proxy pylon at all, so he has no idea that there are units being warped in so close to home. He is floating 1,000 minerals, so he really needs to throw down a few more gateways, maybe even a robo bay or a facility, and just start cranking out more units now that he's on that 2-base macro, which DigitalSlap is not. He is not expanded yet. It is the 11-minute mark, so he is definitely behind as far as expo timing goes. And the one attack upgrade has finished for OmonRa. He is throwing down the robo facility. No further upgrades are being researched at this time, and it looks like we will see a second engage here, and DigitalSlap just, he really likes his stalkers, but at the same time OmonRa kinda, I don't know if it was like a natural response or if he just kinda accidentally did, but he had an affinity for stalkers too, and the concave out of DigitalSlap here is just fantastic. Or it was until the zealots came up here and just started wrecking everything. But these 2 stalkers not even actually partaking in the fight. I'm a little confused as to why, but the concave again will take shape for DigitalSlap, and he will focus down that last stalker. So OmonRa is in trouble here. These 3 gateways will be, 2 of them, or 1 of them will be unpowered. Warping in more zealots here. Good choice, as the zealots will tank quite a bit of damage here and put out a lot of bit of hurt. And DigitalSlap changing targets. He just now refocused down that zealot, but he didn't finish off that one zealot that definitely hurt him. Letting that zealot live for so long, not a good choice there. OmonRa warping in more and more zealots. 3 more gates have finished, and 5 more stalkers will be rallied to their doom, as I don't foresee them beating 5 zealots in a fight, but I could be wrong, but we're going to find out here in a second. One stalker does go down, and the surround by these zealots has been accomplished, and more zealots being warped in. I think, in my opinion, this is too many zealots. You should probably get a few more stalkers, but they will completely clean up all of the stalkers. That +1 attack doing its job, doing some work, and DigitalSlap is kind of in a pickle here. He committed to this 5, now 6 gate pressure and hasn't gotten anything out of it. He is going to be going 7 gates. Wow, 7 gates on 2 base as soon as this base is up and running. But this base is super late compared to OmonRa's, but the production, or income rather, is about the same because OmonRa is only 4 workers ahead. He has stopped mass producing these probes out of both bases, so definitely something you should always do. You should always pump out workers as much as you can up until about 80, because then once you have like 70 or 80, it starts cutting into your army supply. And that is no bueno. We do have full Chrono Boost available on DigitalSlap's Nexus, so maybe he's saving up for the winter. We do have 1 probe being a total boss over here, taking on the rocks. He does like 5 damage to the rocks with 2,000 HP, so he will be here for a long time. This one immortal is probably like, yeah, he's taking the day off. He doesn't actually have to destroy some rocks, and nobody does. This is this probe's responsibility. This is what this probe has to do. He has to take down these rocks if he wants to do his part for the greater good and make the 3rd expansion up here. So good on you, Mr. Probe. We support you, and there are still so many stalkers. DigitalSlap really does not like any kind of unit diversity. He will be going double forge here, so he will try to make an attempt at catching up to OmonRa's 1-1. We do have full Chrono Boost on this Nexus as well, so I'm not sure how many warp gates are available. We just saw 3 of them proc, but more immortals on the way. 2 more observers have been queued up, so they will see and hear everything. They will observe everything, if you will. Oh, because they're observers and they observe things, and that's what they do. We have just a lot of zealots. I mean, like, OmonRa seems to really have a hard-on for zealots, while DigitalSlap really just has some kind of weird fetish on stalkers. It doesn't really make too much sense to me, but I mean, I'm a Terran player. I don't understand to how they look at, how they perceive their units, but something weird is going on here. We do have Charge just now beginning to research for OmonRa, so he will be getting the most that he can out of this just large number of zealots. Still no more gas out of the expansion. We do have 1 extra gas down for DigitalSlap just now transferring. He's running a crazy number of gates. That is 7 warp gates for more and more stalker production. Both players, OmonRa does have, I almost said both players have the same amount of supply, but that is not true. OmonRa has a 30 supply advantage. He is way ahead here. This observer is going to be scouting for the 3rd, it looks like. We do have some zealots finally helping out Probert here, take out the trash, and remove these rocks for the 3rd to go down. So a little bit of community service. It was nice of these zealots. Help out old Mr. Probert. Old Mr. Probert can't do what he wants to do anymore around the house. But thankfully these fine young men were able to help him destroy the rocks. I'm sorry that I have to devolve into talking about a probe attacking rocks, but there's just nothing going on. Like, both players have just really macroed up super hard. We do have OmonRa scouting out these stalkers, and 1-1 is just now finishing for DigitalSlap, whereas OmonRa is on 1-1-1. Which sounds like a Terran build, and it is a Terran build. However, in this situation, it is not. It is upgrades, and I am just waiting for the train to leave the station and then derail for one of these players, because that's ultimately what's going to happen here. One of these players is going to move out. One of these players is going to lose a lot of stuff, and then one of these players is going to lose, in that order. But none of that can happen until either of the armies move out. We do have the 3rd going down for OmonRa, so he will be securing additional income for his mass zealot play here. We do have a blocked immortal. Always sad to see. You always want your immortals to reach their fullest potential. On the other hand, we do have DigitalSlap really trying to make sure he has extra supply lying around, just because he's that kind of guy. He's a pack rat. He likes to keep everything laying around just in case he needs it. But we do have the 2nd attack upgrade on the way. We do have +1 attack finishing for OmonRa. Both players keeping pretty even on the upgrades. But I think the biggest thing here... Oh, the cannon finished and detected that poor observer. But I think the big factor here is that there is a 50 supply difference on the field. And that is enormous, and DigitalSlap does not want to remove these rocks. He likes the rocks the way they are, and he's going to be expanding next to the gold. I think he's confused and doesn't realize that Nexus cannot lift off. Always a shame when you make that realization the hard way on your own, but alas, you gotta learn somehow. And these three immortals are gonna tear up if these zealots don't do it first, because this is just so many zealots, and there's even more back here. There's zealots everywhere. The brochure said there'd only be a few zealots. This is not what I had in mind at all, and he will be charging in here. Charge has completed. You like how I did that? He will be charging in here, and just these zealots are wrecking things. These two immortals are so confident that these zealots have it under control that they are attacking this Nexus over here, and the zealots with the surround on the remaining stalkers. There's a lot of zealots here still, and very few stalkers. There's actually like no stalkers left, and the immortals will be taking down the gold that is not doing anything, and there's so many zealots. Your troops fully upgraded, says DigitalSlap. I wonder what our response from OmonRa will be. Oh, the suspense is killing me. No, not yet. He has I love how he asks him if his troops are fully upgraded, because you can click on them and see this description down here in the bottom. You shredded me like fucking cheese. He did not spell that curse word correctly, and he is absolutely correct. Those stalkers did completely just melt to this mass amount of zealots, but I really... Ooh, did you hear that crack in my hand? I don't believe it was the upgrades, despite the name of this replay, the power of the upgrade, and the comments made. I do attribute it to that huge supply difference we saw, and the fact that these zealots had charge. These zealots, once they finished knocking on the rocks, they did not do anything. But that is that for the game. 22 minutes and still fully chrono boosted on the Nexus here. On both sides, both players, and they don't like to use Chrono Boost. Chrono Boost is for squares, man. Chrono Boost is for the Terran. Yeah, Terran OP. Terran can Chrono Boost all day. But that is all I have for this replay. I will be bringing you another one, despite the fact that it is 1:30 in the morning, and I really should be sleeping. But it is another game from Kinetic, and I'm just going to ramble on for 20 seconds. I haven't actually checked to see if this solves the problem. I'm just kind of hoping. And I figure even if it doesn't work, or like, and you know, there's this extra 20 seconds at the end, I mean, what does it hurt? Nothing. Hurts these stalkers here. They got shredded.